All right guys, so now we are on the edit page. If we flip back and forth between the cut page and the edit page, you'll see that all the clips on my timeline in the cut page have now been migrated over to the edit page. Now, if you compare the edit page to the cut page, it's essentially the same, but we now have a fuller view of our timeline. So it'll be easier to stack our clips and have lots of layers. Like I said in the previous video, the cut page is best for sifting through clips and doing speed edits. So you can technically sift, edit, and export everything on that page. And then the edit page that we're currently on is generally for more technical edits. So all my clips are laid out here on the timeline. The first thing I'm gonna do is grab my music track and place it down on the timeline. So I'll go to my audio folder that I've created. I'm gonna grab our audio track, click and drag it down right there. And as I place it, you'll notice that Resolve automatically creates a new layer for me right here, audio 2. Now I like putting my music track down first because I like editing my whole video to the music. I think it's a lot easier to do that because then you can find out exactly where you want it to cut. You can use the drum hits in the music. So editing the music is usually the best option if you're able to do that. So what we're gonna do is grab some of these clips that we have already sifted through on the cut page, and we're just gonna kind of reorganize them on our timeline. So for example, this clip right here, it's a nice intro clip. It's just tilting downwards. I can go ahead and place it right here, and we can see that he's working in the car right there. Maybe I'll grab this clip right here. I'm gonna place it next to it and do a quick cutaway shot of him using the wrench. Let's see, maybe I'll grab another clip of him working in the car. So I'm just gonna move these around, just kind of build out my sequence really quick. I'm gonna move these over, I'll place this clip right here. I'll grab one more clip showing his face. I'm gonna drag these over once again just so I have room on my timeline. Move that clip in, and maybe we'll cut to the shot of these sparks flying right here. Got that same thing but wide shot. And then I'm gonna place this last clip about right here. Now these clips are fine, not my favorite. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually just delete them. I could keep them on the side of my timeline, but just to keep this clean, I'm gonna delete them. Okay, so I've created a basic montage with all the clips that I wanna use. It's laid out. I have my music track right here on the second audio track. Let's play it through real quick just so you can see what we're working with. And by the way, I'm gonna go ahead and click the mute track button on my audio 1 track because this is just ambient noise from the clips. I'll show you. I don't really wanna hear that, so I'm gonna mute it. Let's go ahead and watch this back. All right, obviously the clips aren't cut to the music yet. That's what we are about to do. So to start out, I want this beginning clip right here to be the longest and really lead the video into the faster paced part of the song right about here where the music is picking up. I'm gonna go ahead and select these clips. Just gonna move them over a little bit so I have some room to work with. And since this was shot at 60 frames per second and we're on that 23.976 frames per second timeline, that means this clip can actually be slowed down to 40% of its original speed. And by the way, here's a quick reference so you can see the exact percentages that you'd be able to slow your clips down to depending on the frame rate that they were shot at. So if I want to slow down this clip, there is a couple ways that we can do that. If I want my entire clip to be slow, so no speed ramping or anything at the end, I can just select it and then jump over to the inspector panel in the top right. I'll just toggle that. I'll hit video and then I'll go down to speed change right here. So I'll change this to 40%, just double tap, I'll type in 40, I'll hit enter. And then I can pop back down to the timeline and then click and hold onto the end of the clip. And you'll see it's showing me right here how long it is now that I've changed the overall speed. So I can extend it all the way to that point. So that is one way to do it. But if I wanted to do maybe a speed ramp at the end of the clip, which is honestly something I do in most of my videos because it helps it flow just a bit better, then what I would do is just zoom in using the plus button on my keyboard, plus to zoom in, minus to zoom out. So I would zoom in, I'd right click on the clip, then hit retime controls, then go right click again and hit retime curve. I'm also gonna hit this little arrow next to retime frame, and I'm gonna change that to retime speed. I don't really know how to explain that, but if you're doing speed ramping, just change that to retime speed. It's gonna help you actually manipulate that speed ramp quite a bit easier. So in the center of the clip, we see 100%. If I wanted to, I can click on that. I can change the overall speed right here. Let's change it to 50%, for example. What I can also do is jump back up to where we just were, the speed change panel here in the inspector. I can bring that all the way down to 40, just like that. Once again, I'll extend it over. So right now the entire clip is at 40% of its original speed. And what I want to do is make this last quarter of a second just before the music picks up. I want to quickly ramp up and move faster so we can kind of flow into the next clip. So I'm going to put my playhead somewhere near the end of this clip, and then I'm going to hit the keyframe icon right here. And that is essentially locking this point in time on the clip. So now if I go down, and you'll see we have arrows going vertically, I can click and drag upwards, and you'll see that it's adjusting this second portion of the clip. It's at 66, 68, 70. I'm gonna zoom in really quick just so you can see closer. Once again, I'm gonna click and drag. So we're just gonna speed up that portion of the clip. So there we go, we got it up to 300%. Now, if I play this through, it's gonna be pretty rough. Right there. So we go from a 40% to just suddenly we're at 300%. But what I want to do is really smooth that out. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to click on the keyframe right here that we have selected. And then I'm going to click on this icon right here. Now what that's doing is it's smoothing out this speed change. And if I click and drag on this dot right here, maybe drag it to the left, it's going to smooth it out even more. So now when I play it back, kind of eases its way into that speed change just a little bit better. I can also hover over that same curve that I've created. Now that I have horizontal arrows going left and right, I can click and I can drag it so that speed change is actually happening later in the clip. So if I play it through, that's probably about where I would actually want it for this video, so that's perfect. Speed ramp is a lot of trial and error. You just kind of have to adjust your clip accordingly and figure out what you like, what you think looks best. But one of the biggest requirements I had when I was moving from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve is I need to be able to do my speed ramps just as easily, if not easier, than I was able to do it in Premiere Pro. And thankfully, that same functionality exists in DaVinci Resolve. So the last thing I'm gonna do is zoom out just a bit. We can see our audio track right here. And what I'm gonna do is just trim this clip just a little bit so it ends right here on the audio track. So I'm gonna go ahead, just gonna grab this front part right here. I'm gonna drag it over. So now we have it ending right here. Let's play it back. Perfect, that works great for me. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and add a speed ramp to this clip that comes right after it. I'm gonna play it through to see how it looks. I don't think it necessarily needs one, but if we wanted to add one, we would do the exact same thing we just did. Retime curve, retime controls. Can change our speed right here or right here. Change that to 40. Drag my playhead, maybe right about here. Create a quick keyframe. I'm gonna change this, once again, I almost forgot, change this from retime frame to retime speed, and then click and drag this portion of the clip. Select my keyframe, hit this button to smooth it out. Very nice. Let's play that back, see what it looks like. Yeah, it's a little abrupt. I might bring this down just a touch. I can just quickly change that to like 150 maybe. Play that back. much better. So it's pretty simple to do a quick speed ramp here in DaVinci Resolve. I'm gonna go ahead and run through the rest of my timeline, just using the same techniques that I've showed you. I'm probably not gonna do any more speed ramps, but I am gonna be adjusting the overall speed of these clips right here in the speed change panel. So if you wanna do the same thing, go ahead and pause the video. I'm just gonna quickly fast forward through all of this. Quick pause from the fast forward. I'm using the Q and W shortcuts here in the timeline. So for example, right here on this clip, I'm gonna go ahead and lock my audio layer. Otherwise, if I hit Q, it's also going to delete it. For example, I'll show you if I hit Q, it's also cutting my audio. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock my audio layer so it's not being affected. But I'll hit Q again now, and you'll see it just cut off that beginning portion of the video and then automatically deleted the gap that would have been between it. All right, back to the fast forward. And real quick, last thing, I'm gonna go ahead and actually add a little bit of a speed ramp at the end of this clip. Just an FYI, so you know that I changed my mind. Continue the fast forward. All right, very nice. Just gonna trim this last clip. All right, so let's go ahead and just watch this back. Let's see what we got. All right, not bad. I know it's kind of a slow edit. This is just sample footage, just an example, so you can see how I might organize a timeline. There are a few little effects I do want to add in while we're here. It'll only take a second. They're very easy to do. The first one is I want that beginning shot right here to kind of fade in. So what I'm gonna do is add what's called a crossfade. Pretty standard if you use any editing program, you're probably familiar with a crossfade. I'm just gonna jump up to the effects library right here, then video transitions, and I'm gonna add this cross dissolve. So I'll just click and drag it right here onto my clip. If I select it, it'll actually show up at the top right in the inspector tab under the transition column, and I can adjust how long I want that transition to be. You'll see it's reflected right here on the clip as I adjust this. So let's say right here, I'll go ahead and play back. Yeah, that's a good transition. I probably won't change anything right there. It looks awesome. One last thing I want to do is add what's called a digital zoom. This is another effect I do in most of my videos. It's a good way to really keep your audience engaged and kind of pulled into the motion of the video. These clips are kind of a little bit boring because there's not a lot of movement happening, so a nice digital zoom will make sure that our audience stays engaged. Just a little pro tip, if you feel like your videos don't have enough movement, digital zooms are a really great fix. So this one is pretty easy. We're just going to select our clip right here and then jump up over to the video tab, and what we care about right now is the transform panel. Now I'm just going to drag my playhead over to the beginning of this clip, and I'll jump back to the transform panel. And I'm just going to create keyframes for the current position and scale that this clip is at. So I'm essentially locking the position and scale of the clip as it is. But I'm going to go to the end of the clip right here and hit my arrow key so we get to the last frame of that clip. And then I'm going to adjust my zoom. Just going to zoom in right about there. And then I'll adjust my positioning as well. So now if we play this clip back, you'll see that there is a digital zoom in happening. So the clip starts right here with the original scaling, and then by the end, it's right about here. We can even toggle this transform panel if we want to see the befores and afters. So it's pretty simple, nothing really complicated about a digital zoom in. I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do that on every single one of my clips because I want them all to be pushing forward and moving into each other. So if you want to do that as well, go ahead, be my guest, pause this video. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward through this process. Okay, so I did all of my digital zooms. Let's go ahead and watch this back. All right, there we go. So those are all the basic editing techniques that I would use for a quick, simple video like this one. Like I mentioned in the last video, there's a ton of functionality inside of DaVinci Resolve, which obviously won't be covered completely in this section of the course, the editing workflow. But if you have any questions about other effects and what they do, first check down in the bonus section, make sure I haven't already covered it in a video. And if not, go ahead, shoot me an email and let me know what you would like to learn, and I'll be sure to create a tutorial on that effect, transition, whatever it might be. That's pretty much it for the edit page though. In the next video, we're gonna be jumping into the fusion page, so get ready.